Going on, y'all? It's your boy Gibbons here,
I'm Will C.
and welcome to yet another episode of the Achromous podcast, episode 92. 92 straight weeks of giving you these gems and delivering some of the best gems that you can find online. If you're listening, that means you're joining us this Sunday or whatever day of the week it is for you. You're joining us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify. It's everywhere that you can hear us. But if you're watching us, that means that you are watching us on YouTube. And before you do anything else, I need you to do three things if you have not done so already. I need you to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. If you hit all three, believe it or not, you will be able to see episode 92 when you're scrolling down your feed and you open your app and you're looking for some sort of gem for you to take and use for the rest of this week and for all eternity, quite frankly. And the craziest part about this, we'll see, is
It is free to do so.
that's unbelievable.
It doesn't cost you a thing but time. But guess what? You're investing it into the best way possible in this moment, right? So be sure to do that, and your future self will thank you for it too when you stumble upon it, right? So subscribe, like our content, because the more that we share, the more we get it out there, the more people we reach. So we thank you for stopping in, and we need you to do those things. Make sure you turn on that subscription, and I'm going to add one more to it for you. Again, share it, get it out there. Each one teach one is our method. This is what we talk about here. This is what we do. So if you don't know, now you know. So please be sure to do so. We'll be forever thankful for you doing it. And we appreciate your contributions into helping with self-development and the betterment of you because you matter.
Preach. Amen to that, brother. What a week it has been. If you guys missed episode 91, you can pause this. You can go check that out. It's probably the next video down on our feed there. But we were able to have Mr. Carlos Richardson on, a great teacher, great educator, former teacher of the year, a world traveler, a doctoral candidate. Like, this man is everything that you need in somebody who could be a mentor, somebody who can help you through some of the toughest times, and somebody who just has such an amazing view of reality in the one that he's living. So we want to thank him once again for coming on to the podcast, dropping some gems for everyone out there who might be looking to become a teacher or is in the profession now, and they're looking for another way to, another thing to explore that's outside of it, or just looking for some travel advice, because he had a ton. He's visited a ton of different countries, and it was a pleasure having him on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not often that you encounter people where they make a difference, they stand out, and they just have this thing about them. Mr. Rich is one of those people, privileged to have cross paths in life with him, me being a student of his, going way past too long that I really care to mention, but we talk about probably 20 years now.
Wow.
So it's quite a long time ago to say for what he's been doing, right? It's a true testament to him and to people who like him. And we want to make sure that it's recognized. What we talk about a lot is the unsung heroes, right? So ideally, we try to again provide that platform to speak about people in light who's all about intentionality, who thrives in finding ways to create motivation for themselves so that they can maximize their growth as much as they can, right? And in a lot of cases, you find that a lot of our guests we have on are people who thrive in that environment, and the people around them are better for it, right? They make true contributions to those outside of just themselves, which is what we do here. So again, really appreciate Mr. Richardson for dropping by. It was a really great time. I went back and checked out the episode myself, as we always like to do, because we're here to grow as well. We're not just looking to project it outward. We want to receive what we hear as well inward and reflect, so we could be better. And being able to do that I was able to personally apply it to my week. It was a very rigorous week, a lot to do, but being able to take those gems and utilize it as best I could to hold myself accountable has been a really, really good reminder.
100%. Yeah, it's crazy because each and every week we have gems that we're putting out there, and it's yet another opportunity to put that into your life and to allow something like that to lead you on to the next week. And a lot of the stuff we do, I guess you can put it in a sort of a motivational or inspirational side, but it's beyond that, right? Because those things fade, right? I mean, look, I'm guilty for going on YouTube and watching some motivational videos, and yeah, you got to do this, and you keep climbing that mountain. Da, da, da. But then once that's done, like I go back to where I was before. I fade back into it, right? It's not, there isn't anything there that I can take action on and actually apply it to my life and turn around my day or turn around my month or year or whatever. So the gems that we put out here and the stories that we allow our guests to share is only, it's only to get you to start moving as well. It's not necessarily just motivational or inspirational. We want you to be getting a notepad next to you, jotting down some of the advice that they're putting out there, jotting down some of the things that they are deeming important. Somebody who has been successful and continues to be successful, they're giving you these gems that you can take and apply to your life today. And if you do it consistently, eventually you'll get to where you want to go.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a process, right? It doesn't happen overnight. It's a meticulous one. It requires a lot of sacrifice. But as you know, personally understanding and learning, even at this stage of the game and what we've been doing, it requires a level of obsession with it.
Yeah.
It requires it's all perspective. So it's really about channeling that part of your inner thought process to really believe in what you're doing. Like you have to really believe in what you're striving to accomplish and set the goal to be attainable. And here's the thing, we say stepping stones, but really plan out what that looks like so that you can be successful in it, right? Because it's 24 hours in a day. And a majority of that time is used to do everything else outside of what you love to do or enjoy to do for you. So you have to like factor that into what success looks like for you on a daily basis, right? So you have a walk away with the win. So if you're someone who likes to journal or reflect in that sort of manner, then this will be good for you to do as well. You know, something to write down, maybe write a pros and cons, three things that went well for the day, and three, that you achieve, and three things that you aspire to hopefully attain to the next day if you're fortunate enough to see it. So I think it really just comes down to just the fundamentals and how you establish that for you and how you utilize it moving forward.
100%. We'll see. And I think, it really takes a village for everybody to grow, right? There have been, and I'm sure there are many people who watch this, right? There are many people who look at this or might glance at it, might play it for a little while, right? We have the analytics, so we can see exactly what's happening. But for those who are constantly interacting with us, we thank you, right? Miss Basil, we thank you. We thank you for always showing love, always showing appreciation, giving us comments, giving us feedback from day one. So it is incredible that she's still able to do that, and we're incredibly thankful for it. Mr. Price as well, Anthony, thank you for always giving us a shout outs, always representing, always coming on live, seeing what we're about. And one of my longtime friends, who is actually international, Savon, I want to thank her as well for tuning in and listening. Even though I think her comment last time to me when I shared it, at least the last episode, was that my head looked like a disco ball. I laughed at that, right? But I also thanked her for watching and interacting and being a part of it. And I told her, look, I'm gonna shout you out. I'm gonna shout out anybody who is really interacting with us because they do deserve that. And we truly thank you for always being a part of it. And for those who are new, who are coming in, this is what we do, right? We're a community. We're into building this community. We want to grow and we want you guys to grow as well. So upward and onward onto some updates that we have specifically with both the store and the podcast. Of course, that we have Achromous Fitness that is live now, and we have a great announcement now to make starting tomorrow. I guess this is when it airs. It airs on Sunday, but on Monday we will be sending out our very first newsletter. Within this newsletter, it was a labor of love for the past couple months now, and we believe we got exactly what we need in order to educate you guys a little bit more about not just what we do, but what's going on in the industry, right? From the blogs that we were writing on our website, to some industry news that is in the personal development or wellness industry, as well as some really funny content. You know, we want it to be as interactive, as relaxed and approachable as we are in person. So what we're putting out there is a reflection of what we do. I want to thank Will for the hard work he's put into to really getting, you know, that and the pop-up ready for it, and to be able to distribute some of the best gems that you can find online. We're really thankful to be in this spot where we can share just some of the great news that we have, some of the experience that we've been able to build, and provide some really exclusive content for you guys to digest during the week. And look, we're not going to spam you guys. This is going to be something that comes out every single day, every single hour, where you're just going to funnel over to your spam folder. This is a once a week thing. It's really brief. It gets you right to where you want to see, where you want to go. And of course, feedback helps. So if you're reading it and you're like, man, I'd really love to know more about habit building, or more about how do I get these abs, or what should I put in my diet to help change, help me to grow, help me to be consistent with eating healthy, we'll gladly put that in there. We're all about a community, and we're all about a growth. We'll see.
Yeah, we're really excited about this, and it's just another way for us to be more engaging with you, right? We want to grow, but we want to be intentional about it and be aware as to the methods of how we are adapting to be of best use to you, right? Because this is about you as an individual, right? But together, you know, we are stronger. So we really want to drive that home. And I think, you know, Jay hit it perfectly on the head with every pointer as to what this is for, what you have to look forward to. I don't really have much to add to it other than, you know, it's just, what comes to mind is, you know, the old school, you know, you get a newspaper and you just kind of go to the funny sections of it, and you kind of stroll along and you are engaged with it. You can kind of expect it to have that sort of feel, where, you know, the intentionality is there, but we want to focus on your health, but we want to make sure that you enjoy it and have a fun look and perspective on it, something
Yeah.
that's fresh.
Yeah.
And you can expect to find that there. You know, not only that, you'll also find what we have to be the hottest items of the week that we have as merch from the Achromous store as well. You know, so we'll let you know what's been popular, what's been of more higher demand. So we'll usually have something to reflect a section for that. We even have the information for the podcast that's available for you too as well. Where in most cases you'll see the most newest podcast episode as well to be aired, or you may even get something of a throwback as to what we thought may have been a more of popular demand. So we may even do surveys for that to see what you may have thought, what you enjoyed, and we may share that as well for newer folks to come along, to keep them engaged and to learn more about how to better develop, self-awareness and growth. So it's a lot that we have that's going to be included on this. Again, you won't be spam, but we can guarantee you're going to enjoy what you receive, and it's going to be a good read. It's going to be fun. And look, when you enjoy it and you're having a good time with it, pass it along, share it.
Sure.
For sure, share it to that person. Let them know, and if they're interested, then reach out to us. Let us know. We can make sure that they're included as well, and subscribe. It won't cost them anything but time. Look, this is what it is, because we're just putting time and effort into these things. And again, this is methods of us just continually to grow and to be engaging with you as we're beginning to expand outward even more, right? So this is us establishing that foundation of what it looks like, so that we can get to the later goals of what we want to accomplish, to be more of an outreach network, where we are out in the field, we're out in the streets, we're out and around. This is the idea of what we visualize and what we're trying to put into fruition, but we need your help with that. So these are ways you can help us contribute to it, help something that's of a good feel good movement, right? There's a lot of things that's out there that just is just so just out of whack right now, and it is what it is. But let us help reel you in to make sure that you stay diligent to you. Entertain it if you want, but focus in on you. And this is the platform for that. This is what we do. We thrive and we are damn good. And dare I say, we are the best at it.
Oh,
so
100%.
Tune in, continue to grow with us. We've been, as you can tell, we've been trailblazing through it. We've been 92 weeks in, going strong, and we're still going to continue to do it. And we've been building along the way. We've been consistent, we've been thriving, and we've appreciated every single person who has been a part of it, just contributing, just being present, just viewing the content, for every single like that we've received, for every single message that we received, any engaging conversation we've had has been a pleasure, and we look forward to it. And in a way that maybe I don't think most people really appreciate on these platforms. But this is one place where you, as the viewer, you as the listener, will be heard and will be responded to. And you are a part of this movement because you are Achromous. You are. You matter. So this is the place where you can show it. This is the place where you can get recognition for it. You buy merch, you get the shout out, you get the visualization to show it. Yeah. We got it on now. This is what we do. Like, this is the place where you can actually be appreciated. How often can you say that, right? Where you scroll through and you are irrelevant to whatever you're scrolling through. Like you would not be factored into what that is outside of a number of data. Like, you don't matter to that, right? But this is a place where you can really focus in realization and like be a part of something that's beautiful, right? And something that we're striving to achieve to make an impact into the world. And we've already, if we walked away today, I can confidently say and feel good that we've already done that. We've already had people who reached out to us to thank us. I've had people personally reach out to me, thanking me for making a difference in their approach and their thought to life, and helping to save their life. Where I was in a place before we started with this, where I was fighting to stay alive on my own. This is no different to the day, but I understand my worth and my value of life and what it means outside of just for Will C. My kids, my family, my friends, my closest confidants, like, we understand what that means. And we want to make sure that you learn, if you don't know now, what that looks like, what it should be molded to be, and what you should feel in the process. So please, guys, like, we really want to continue to grow in this way. And we're looking forward to you to grow with us, keep giving us that information that's going to help us reach others, keep spreading the word, keep spreading the joy that is Achromous. We appreciate you. We love each and every single one of you for it.
100% we'll see. And I think one of the biggest things that we've had the opportunity to do here on the podcast is to grow. You mentioned where we've all been. We've known your story. It's documented in the 21-3 method. It's a harrowing story. It's a story of fighting, of trying to understand your worth and knowing where you are. And in present day, you're so much more better because of it. So I think a lot of the times we always preach about consistency. We always, at least we hear that out in our society today, that if you're consistent, you'll get the the dreams that you're trying to chase. You'll accomplish the goals that you want to achieve. And I would say that needs to be coupled with growth. And I think growth is something that you do truly see. It's a visual thing, and it's something that you could feel too. An example would be the gym, right? I mean, that's probably the most obvious example, right? If you're going to the gym and you're consistent, right? If you're consistent with what you're eating and it's clean, right? And you're consistently making progress, you're consistently growing, that is where the change comes. It comes in that, right? I can't expect to go to the gym my very first time there, curl maybe 15 pounds with a dumbbell, come back 5, 6, 7 weeks after that, doing the same thing and expect to have bigger biceps. No, I have to grow. I have to make progress. I have to go up to that 20 pound. I have to go up to the 25, the 30. And there might be a time where I go a little bit too high and I'm like, I can't go higher than this. I might risk injury. I'm not ready for that next level. And I think it's very important that you realize that too, that look, you're not, if you have not picked up the 10 pound, don't go to the 100 yet. You got to grow to get to that point, so that once you get there, your body is ready to accept the 100. And that 100 is going to feel like 10 after a while, because your body's adapting, it's evolving, it's growing. Like, we're preaching this, but you can see it, right? I mean, you have friends that might have changed their bodies around, or, and they may have lost weight or gained muscle. That is literally what we're talking about. So you could see the transition physically, but we also want to make sure that you're making that transition mentally. We want to make sure that you are preparing yourself mentally for what is to come. And the only way to do that is to continue to fail. right? To continue to learn. And as crazy as that sounds, I know you're saying, Jay, you got to fail. Yes, you do. You got to fail in order to succeed. That is a byproduct of succeeding. You must get to the step of failing. You must get to the step of like, God, I think I'm going to give up today. That is it. I'm done. You got to get to that point before you succeed. That means that you are growing because you are now in a space where you're not just uncomfortable with yourself, you're not just uncomfortable with what you're doing, you're not uncomfortable with yourself, but you're understanding that you're in such a vulnerable state that you're like, I need to find comfort again. And maybe for you, comfort would be like, for example, if you're in a business, comfort would be making profit. Comfort would be getting revenue. Comfort would be seeing people come to your store and buy products, right? That for me personally is comfortable. We'll see. It's something that allows you to acknowledge, okay, we are moving in the right direction. We are making progress. We are getting better. What we are talking about, what we're saying is starting to click with a specific niche out there, and we're thankful for it, right? Before, we're flying in the dark at night, trying to really find where we belong, and we finally notched a little part of that. So there is an element of failing in order to succeed, but for today's podcast, we want to discuss the harsh truth about holding on a little bit too long, right? And it gets a little complicated because a lot of the times, especially for sticking with business and entrepreneurship, you may fall in love with what you do. You may find a passion in what you do. You may be doing something where you're like, I don't even need to get paid for this, and I will still do it because I love it. I know it takes some time away from whatever else I need to do in my life, but I enjoy doing it. I'm fine with it. I want you to know that if you are on that level where you're at a point where you're probably still not making any revenue from it, you're not making any profit from it, it can't necessarily be considered a business, even if you started it as such. Right now, the harsh truth is that it is a hobby. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't transition into a business at some point, but you have to understand that there are certain things that you're going to have to give up in your own mind, right? You have to leave your ego at the door. The people, right? I mean, we always talk about this too when it comes to entrepreneurship and being on your own, freelancing, whatever you might be doing. You don't want to have a boss telling you what to do. You want to be your own boss. Well, I got some news for you. I don't believe there is such thing as being your own boss, even as an entrepreneur. You're going to have to listen to someone, right? As an entrepreneur, you know who your boss is, your customers,
Yes.
your clients, your audience. They're going to tell you exactly what they want from you. And you have to be able to accommodate that request over and over again. Not only that, but you have to grow from that. They may want more because they put you on this level where the standard is the standard and their expectations are high because that's what they're used to. So each and every day, you have to go on to exceed their expectations in order for you to continue to grow. Because once you don't, there are 100 other you behind you waiting to take that spot. And the moment that you slip up is the moment that they fit right into that niche. They may not be as revolutionary as you were. They may not be a one of those unicorns that you always hear about, but they don't need to be. You have now created a path, you've created a formula. They will literally take the formula you have, make a little tweak to it, and make more than you ever have. So that's why that old saying is that it's very lonely to be someone who is an innovator. It's a very lonely path. You're the one of one. You're the one that has to move the dirt to be able to create the path for yourself. And now other people are walking the same path that you're walking with ease because you were the one that made the decision to be innovative, to be the leader, to be someone who is who is the top of the top, the upper echelon, the peak, the pinnacle, the apex. That's who you are. Now that you have a million other people behind you who are gunning for that spot. So it is important for you to understand when is that time for you to move on from whatever you're doing, whether you are in a negative relationship, whether you are in a business that is just not growing because the audience is not there, right? How do you know that there is no audience for what you have? How do you know in your relationship that it is time for me to move on. This isn't working out. It's time for me to go out and, find myself a little bit. What do I need? What am I looking for in life? Who am I? Right? Who am I? What is my purpose? Right? And on the business side, it's like, if this isn't it, maybe I still stick with the purpose of helping others, right? It could be as broad as that. I want to help others. I want to give back to my community. Maybe I can't do it with what I'm doing now. Maybe carpet cleaning isn't the best thing for me. Maybe I gotta elevate. Maybe I gotta do wood flooring because that's where the market is going. Maybe the market is going more towards marble. Maybe I gotta switch. You see what I'm saying? If you were to stay consistent with carpet cleaning, you could still be doing 100 different houses in a particular niche, but that's all you're focused on is carpet cleaning. So what happens when that market changes and you're still trying to fit a square peg into a round hole? You're not going to make any profit. Your business is going to start failing because you didn't innovate. You didn't get with the times. You didn't market correctly. You didn't advertise correctly. Nobody has carpet in their home now all of a sudden, and now you're out of business. So it's always important to evolve. It's important to adapt. It's important to grow, but you have to understand, you have to know for yourself, whether you're in a relationship or you're starting a business or you're working for somebody, you have to know when to fold. You have to know when to move on. We'll see.
So my question to you then would be, how would you know? Like, what are some key points, some key signs?
It's a great question. So in terms of the business side, everything is analytic based now, especially these days. You can see who's interacting with your stuff. If I were to go on, let's say, for example, right now, Facebook on the business side of things, if I opened up the business suite and I were to run some paid ads for about a month, and I think after a month, I have a pretty good idea of who is taking in this content. And I know we'll see, we had a conversation before. We know who is taking in our content. We know who is interacting, who's engaging. Typically, is people on the West Coast, specifically California. Now, this was an alarming thing for us to see because before that point, we would be advertising locally, right? We're in the DMV, so that's where we started because we're like, okay, this can be something that's homegrown. And as much as we want to push it in the DMV, and as much as we believe it makes sense for people who sound like us, who look like us, who know about our community and just know about the landscape of the East Coast and DMV, what we're putting out there makes sense more for those who are in California because of the type of lifestyle they're living, right? There are a ton more creative minds, and whether they're content creators or fitness people or people who are about that personal development life, they're more likely to live in California based on what our analytics say. So that might be different with your business, right? Whether you're using Google ads or you're using Facebook ads, Instagrams, look at your analytics and they'll tell you exactly who you need to market to. And on top of that, you need to learn the psychology of your audience too.
Mm.
So for us, now that we're able to see that, okay, we are not dead in the water, we'll see, because you guys have been a part of this for now 92 weeks straight. We've been doing this for a lot longer than that because we had to get to this point in order to understand, okay, this might be what our audience is looking for. And if it isn't this, let's transition to this. Let's brainstorm to that, right? So you can see, even though our business is evolving, that central theme of helping others and giving back is still there. And it will always be there because there are always going to be people who need that type of help. But how can we help them? And how can we elaborate on what we do best in order for them to understand, okay, that's how you can help me. That's what I've been missing. It might have not have been the habit building side. It might not have been, I need to understand how to grow my legs or grow my calf muscles. It's specifically understanding that we fit as the foundation of what you're doing, the foundation of building habits, the foundation of goal setting, the foundation of understanding how to lift a dumbbell. That's where we fit in. Now, we're not going to be at the end for you. There's somebody else already fulfilling that niche and they're doing a damn good job at it. But beginning, that's starting, knowing how to start, knowing where to start, knowing what a dumbbell does, knowing how to contract your bicep, knowing how to that is where we fit in, because not only not only do we know how to do it and do it damn well, but there is a market for it. Why? Because we were able to prove it with analytics. So now all the content that we're going to be coming up with is focusing on that sub niche of understanding the foundation of something. That's everything we talk about now. With the 21-3 method is the foundation for habit building. For what we do with our blogs, it's the foundation of understanding exactly how to build muscle, the foundation of how to understand how to lose weight. So you see that, right? We're building from scratch. Now, we're not going to be the roof for you. We're not going to be the walls for you. We're not, that's not the niche that we serve. Can we be? Absolutely. But we're not an everything company, right? We're not an everything brand. We specialize in this specific thing. And because we do that, we now understand how to tailor what we create for you to be able to digest it and engage with it. So I think the biggest thing when trying to understand how to move on, if you've looked at the analytics and you see not there is not a soul, nobody's interacting with what you're doing for about 6 7 months of you being consistent and growing, trying to believe that the audience that you're serving is the right audience that you're promoting to. If you're not seeing any feedback from that, if you're not seeing any feedback from your surveys, or on top of that, if you're seeing a lot of feedback and it has nothing to do with what you're putting out there now, you know it is time to switch. Because again, you guys might want to be your own boss, but there is no such thing as being your own boss. The audience is your boss. Your clients are your bosses. So that is who you are serving. That is who you are promoting to. So it's important. I would say Will C and anyone out there who is about that, especially on the entrepreneur side, look at those analytics, look at your survey results, look at the feedback that you're getting from comments. That will allow you to understand what your audience wants from you. And it might not be exactly what you're putting out there now. But if that is the case, you have to leave your ego at the door. You got to change, you got to grow, you got to alter what you're putting out there in order for your audience that wants to digest your content, in order for them to digest it better.
I think that's well said, well put. Let's shift gears a little bit.
Yeah.
Now that we understand what that looks like from entrepreneurship, the spirit of it, and just willing to commit to yourself in that aspect. Now let's shift it to the personal side of that, Jay. Right now we have a good grasp of concept to that. Now, how can we correlate those fundamentals into identifying it in your personal life? Because to me, I feel like it goes hand in hand. Like with everything you do, it's a centralized theme of how you are and how you feel from the start of your day to the ending of your day. Everything else it falls in perils and just kind of interlaps throughout the day as you're going on, right? So now that we understand from a business perspective as an employee employer, now let's shift it to what it looks like from a personal side of, albeit from a friendship, from family, from marriage. What does it look like to kind of channel that in and to understand when you've gotten to a point where something is unhealthy and you need to let that go? What are some fundamentals would you say can be contributed to that?
Well, I think it's always hard, right? Especially when it comes to family or marriage, or a friendship that's 10, 15, 20 plus years in the making. But you will see the signs within yourself. And I think a lot of us, we react more to physical changes, right? So I would say a physical change for you would be dependent on how your lifestyle was before you got closer to this family member, or before you got closer in this relationship with whomever you're with, or a friend, versus how you are now, right? Are you healthier physically? Have you gained a ton of weight? Are you eating yourself into a coma so you don't have to deal with the stresses that somebody is putting you through, right? So if you're a physical person, if you're physically if you feel yourself physically getting ill from whatever relationship you're in, whether it is friends, family, or marriage, that may be a sign that there is a change that is needed. Now, it might not mean that you're holding on too long, but maybe there's a communication lapse somewhere. Maybe there are some misunderstandings that you have not taken the time to broach those type of subjects, whether it's out of fear of losing whoever you're close with, or it's out of a lack of self-confidence for yourself, understanding how much you are worth, understanding where you want to go in life, and knowing that whoever is with you, whether it's a friend, family, or someone that you are married to, that they may not be the best thing for you. And it's a very humbling and difficult thing to come to grips with because of all the work that you put in to get to that point, right? And we all have egos, so we want to believe that we made the best decision going into this, and we don't want to turn coat because there are people in your life that might have told you initially, bro, I don't think this is the right thing for you. I don't think you should be hanging out with that crowd. That person might be family, but they are not for you. You said you want to be here at this time. They are not going in that direction. So you got to reevaluate your friendship, or even when it comes to marriage. I don't know. Your personality is changing. I'm seeing a little less of you. Your confidence when you're around your partner is just not there. There is a barrier between you two. And it sometimes it's a little crazy because you may not see it for yourself. You may have been asleep for so long, you may have gotten used to this new you that you put out there, that you no longer even recognize your new self. But the minute you get that recognition and you see yourself in your mirror, you're like, oh my God, this is not me. Who is this person? I don't even know who I'm looking at right now. I've never been this big. I've never let my beard get out this far. I've never worn these tattered clothes that I do now. Is this a reflection of my self-confidence? Is this a reflection of how much I love myself, or the lack of love that I have for myself? So those are some of the physical signs that I think you need to be looking at for yourself. Like, am I holding on to this marriage too long now? Have I given my have I can't even say I've given my partner, but have we given each other enough to say, okay, this might be the end of it? We have put so much into this, it is not working for either one of us. It is best to go our separate ways. Same thing with a friendship. Look, bro, I loved you from our childhood. We grew up together. We played on the playground together. Our families know each other. Bro, I want to be a real estate investor. I want to build a legacy for my family. It looks like you want to do something completely different that I don't want to be associated with. And that is such a hard conversation to have with somebody that you've loved for so long. But it is necessary, not just for you, but for that other person. Maybe then they will look in the mirror and say, where am I going? What am I doing? At first, they might cuss you out. They might be like, look, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know you. I thought we were cool. I've known you for so long. You're supposed to be my ride or die. But it's like, I got to put myself first now. I've put myself second for the last 15 years. This is my year one where I am putting myself first, and everything else around me is going to reflect the new me, the real me. Not who I thought I used to be, is going to reflect who I am. And everybody else in my circle is going to have that same reflection. It's like I'm looking in the mirror every time I'm turning around because everybody is on the same wavelength. They're on the same path and they look just like me, we'll see. So I personally think on the personal side, family, friend relationship, look at the physical sides. Are you getting enough sleep? How are you dressing? How are you walking out on the street, right? How are you communicating with friends, with others outside of your marriage? How is that communication going? Are you the light in the room, or are you just sucking the life out of it? So all of those things are things that you need to look at for yourself. And look, only you can do that for yourself, right? You know who you were before when you had that light. You might know who you might have to look in the mirror and see who you are now, if that light has dimmed a little bit, if some of the habits that you used to have are no longer the ones that you have now. It is time to reflect. It is time to look at your circle. It is time to really start pulling some people off, right? And look, I'm not saying rip them apart. I'm not saying completely pull away, but it's time to reevaluate yourself, It's time to reevaluate yourself. Those who have been in long-term relationships, long-term friendships, reevaluate where things are going. Or do you want to be going in that same direction they are, or do you want to do something for yourself? And I think there is a point where some people succumb to not doing that growth, or not changing, or not wanting to do it because they are afraid, because they are scared, because they don't know what the unknown is. But I gotta say, if those people around you who are pulling you down are negative influences, there are only a couple places you can be: jail or dead.
Mm.
So make sure that before you go that route, you're making the right choices for your family, for yourself, for everybody else around you. And I can 100% guarantee you it'll take time for you to heal from whatever separation that'll be, but you'll heal better. You'll be better for yourself after.
Mm. Well, did you all take that in?
Mm.
Did you all absorb that, all of it? Because if you really take a moment to just kind of, you know, take a bit of it and digest it, and just ultimately, what is the centralized theme of it? It's about you.
Mm-hmm.
It's about honesty. It's about self-reflection. It's about identifying who you are and then defining it for the world to see. Right? It's a level of truth that you must have with yourself, a level of accountability, integrity that you must be able to develop, uh, so that you can be your best self. See, look here, no true growth comes without true sacrifice,
Mm-hmm.
right? Without comes without some form of pain,
Mm.
right? Because you learn with pain what you won't do again.
Mm.
And if you continue to do it, you continue to feel that pain until you recognize why you shouldn't do what you did to begin with.
Oh.
Right. Now, it's in fairness, you don't know what you don't know until you find out. And then
Mm-hmm.
once you know, you can never say you don't know about that. So you got to hold yourself accountable for it. Right. So every single thing that you heard today is a reflection of any aspect of your life. It always comes back to you.
Mm.
Right. That's the
Mm-hmm.
centralized theme of it. It comes back to you. So if something in your life is failing and it's not going right, you have to hold you accountable, because
Mm.
only you can change it.
Mm.
Right. So that's the centralized theme of it all. And some people learn that message in life earlier. Some people learn it later in life, and some people never ever get it at all. But you are privy to get it today.
Mm.
So the question for yourself to ask is, how does this relate to you? Because we all
Mm.
can relate to everything that Jesus said. We all can relate to it.
Mm.
I can attest to every single thing he said and could be able to relate for that for myself. And the only thing I can ask myself is, well, how have you grown in each one of those instances? How are you growing through it?
Mm.
Because you're not over it, because you're still alive. So you have to ask yourself those tough questions, right? And if you skate by life not doing that, not willing to address the elephants in the room for you, address those truths, those inner truths that you hear when you're by yourself, then you are hindering your own development. And you can't be good for no one because you're not good for yourself. And that's the cold truth, right? So take that accountability, take these gems that was dropped upon you today. There was an endless and an abundance amount of life lessons that you, hey, dig this, you already know to be true. You don't
Mm-hmm.
need us to tell you that.
Just 100%.
You're choosing to listen in to be reminded of it, but you know your truth
Mm-hmm.
because it's in here and it's in here. Sometimes we let what's in our heart supersede what's in our mind of what we know to be morally right or wrong for us, not what the
Mm-hmm.
standard is, but for us.
Mm-hmm.
So don't allow yourself to be used as a stepping stool in life and the events, circumstances you faced, when you can just take ownership and you could place that damn chair wherever you decide to place it and have a sit
Mm-hmm.
down and reflect on what you need to do for your life so that you can get to a point to enjoy it, right? Because we're going to always be in some sort of centralized theme of race, a race of life, right? But at some point, you want to be able to sit down and enjoy the race yourself, right? You want to be able to enjoy and take it all in. This is a moment to do so. Take this episode, this particular episode, episode 92, and reflect on areas that you failed on and areas that you are failing at, and then come up with a way for yourself. Set a plan, a course of action, so that you can hold yourself accountable to get the hell out of it. And you
That's,
win just by doing that.
that's big, we'll see. And I would say too, take some of the cues from the 21-3 method. I know we made a couple episodes about that before, but don't overwhelm yourself. 1% changes. 1% changes, they all add up, right? It's like interest. They all add up. You gotta keep compounding it. You gotta keep getting used to it. And then after a while, it just becomes natural. And that's when you know you're in, right? You're locked in. It becomes habitual. And that's all we wanted for you, you know. So for those out there who are listening and watching, we thank you for joining us. But we want you guys to interact with us. We want to continue to build this community. So we want to pass it over to you now. Have you held on to something too long? How did it feel to let go? Where are you now? So those three questions we want you to answer. Have you held on to something too long? How did it feel to let go? Where are you now? Whoever creates the best answer for this, the most full answer, an answer that we can say, wow, I mean, that is an impactful move and the growth that you've had is immense. That best story will get a chance to be featured on the next episode of the Achromous podcast. And of course, that person will receive 30% off of anything in the Achromous fitness store. So it goes without saying that we value communication in our community. We value interaction, and we value your listenership. We value your viewership. We value you as much as we want you to value yourselves. We value you as well. So be sure to interact with us. Be sure to keep building, keep growing this community, and we'll keep doing the same here.
Yeah, each one teach one is our method. This is what we do, and we're learning and growing with you. And thank you for allowing us to learn more about ourselves in the process. And there's no better way to do it than to tune in to the Achromous podcast, to be a part of this movement, be a part of contributing to your accountability and growth and investment into you.
Every single week we've been doing this, 92 now strong. If you're listening, we thank you for listening. You're probably listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. If you're watching, we thank you for watching. Especially for those who have been here for the first time, we thank you for joining us. We thank you for taking these gems and taking these clips and hopefully applying it to your life. For those who have been here before, you've been here for now 92 weeks straight, and you still are unaware of what we do. I'm going to spell it out for you once again. Achromous. You see it everywhere. Everywhere you can find a podcast, everywhere you can find anything related to personal development, self-help, and most importantly, focusing on you. If you're watching us on YouTube, you're seeing our beautiful smiling faces, you're seeing the podcast logo, you're seeing everything that has to do with growth. Here is three things I needed to do right now, if you did not do it at the beginning of this video, in order to see more growth for yourself and in order for us to grow. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. The next time you hop on YouTube, what you'll be able to do once you're scrolling through your feed, you'll see episode 92 of the Achromous podcast. And most of all, ladies and gentlemen,
you know now it is free to do so, and you're going to hold yourself accountable to do it. We're going to hold you accountable to do it as well. So like the content, guys, subscribe to it, turn on your notification bell so that you get each and every single piece of thing that's related to Achromous to you right away, on demand, so you can start developing those tools that you need to have in your shed so you can live your best life possible. Because this is what we're here, this is what we're about. So if this episode wasn't a testament to that, then we don't know what will be. But you stayed through it, so commit yourself to something that's going to help you conquer those areas that you need to do to be the best version of you.
100% Will C. Look, this is a great week to reflect on some of the relationships that you have now that you've built over the years that just might not be for you anymore. It's okay to change. In fact, it's encouraged to change. It's encouraged to grow. So you keep growing, you keep changing, you keep building. And until next Sunday, it's your boy, J.H. Gibbons.
I'm Will C.